Hey there. Welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, probably a part of the Gyro Step podcast network and the Blue Wire podcast network. I am one of your hosts, Ti Windisch, joined as always by the ubiquitous Rohan Katti. Rohan, how's it going, sir?
Doing well. It's always a good time, Ty, when we get to talk Bucks basketball. I know we've been in the season now. It's 12 games. We're like 15% through the season or something already. I got to do math now because it's going to bother me. Oh, yeah, 14.6. Let's go. Slide.
Oh, wow.
Let's go.
Nice.
Okay. So, yeah, I feel good about myself now and my math skills. And I feel good because Milwaukee Bucks still have the best record in the NBA.
Yes. Oh, they don't have the most wins, but they have the most wins with only 2 losses. As we record on Sunday morning, I don't know if the Celtics play today, but they will at worst be tied for the best record in the league when you're listening to this on Monday morning. So that is exciting. And I think, in spite of something we've talked about a lot and we'll continue to talk about, their offense not really been that good thus far. The Bucks are a whopping 23rd in offensive rating this season and 26th in true shooting percentage. So shots just not going in at a very effective clip, but it helps when you are first in. We're getting to country mile stages of defense. The Bucks have a 103.8 defensive rating. That means that's how many points they allow per 100 possessions. Number 2, the Cleveland Cavaliers are up to 107. So the Bucks putting some distance. 3.2 points of defensive rating. For clarity, that is the difference between the number 2 Cavs and just about the number 10 Dallas Mavericks. So the Bucks defense has been far and away the best in the league. That's why they still have such a great record. So let's get into what's coming for the Bucks and hopefully the not too far term reinforcements, and definitely reinforcements that can help the Bucks offense. So this is an exciting thing, right? Khris Middleton, who there was chatter on Wednesday of last week that he could return for Friday's game against the Spurs. Giannis and Jrue end up sitting that game. Khris does too. My read on this, and we're not going to get too deep into injuries in case there's breaking news later, but my read on this, Rohan, was, Giannis, we know Giannis's knee management is ongoing, kind of always. Jrue sprained his ankle, so that's a thing that can just take a little time. I feel like they kind of said we get a couple more days off after this Spurs game in San Antonio. Not a primetime game, not one the NBA is probably going to get mad at us about. Let's just give those guys a rest, play Brook a few less minutes, and then maybe we can bring the whole gang back on Monday. Who knows? Maybe more of the gang. But I think that Spurs game, the end of a road trip, did end up kind of being a logical rest game. And I think Giannis and Jrue being sort of banged up kind of tilted things from let's bring back Khris to let's just hold everything until we're a little healthier. Because I think bringing Khris back without Giannis or Jrue would be kind of weird in some ways. So again, don't want to get too deep into injuries because there's news coming on that front as injury reports come for Monday's game.
Potentially news.
Some sort of news. We'll either know nothing has changed or some things have changed. But that was my thought on the Spurs game. I know there's a little bit of concern. I'm not overly concerned at this point. We'll see what comes in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I'm just imagining Monday's game against the Hawks. First game back at home since November 5th, I believe. Or 6th, one of the two.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining it like you know that scene in Avengers Endgame where it's just like Captain America facing off against Thanos and everyone. And that's Brook Lopez, and then all of a sudden like the portal's open. Giannis is back. Drew's back. Khris is back. That's what I'm imagining in my head right now. I'm gonna have to Photoshop that later.
Yeah, you are. I'm here for that. The Pat's the only one we haven't really gotten much news on. Yes. We are past a couple weeks. It was supposed to be his calf strain, but
3 weeks was the initial.
Yeah, report. And that was sometime last week, right? We're coming up on the 4th week now, I think, which is fine. Calf strains are tricky. You don't want to push it. You can get into like Achilles territory there. You certainly don't want to rush a calf strain. So yeah, reinforcements are coming at some point is what we know right now, hopefully. So how is that going to change the Bucks is the question. There are 2 guys who have started most of the season that we would expect will be up for losing that starting spot when Khris comes back. One or both. There's been Pat Connaughton conversations maybe we'll circle back to that later too. But Jevon Carter starting next to Jrue Holiday in the backcourt. And this is our first episode since the week of Jevon Carter, where he dropped 36 and 12 in an overtime win against the Thunder, and then came back in 21 and 6, I want to say, against the Spurs, with even less help with Brook Lopez playing less in that game. So really stepped up more than any other Buck across those two games, which is incredible. He's been starting next to Jrue. He gives Jrue defensive versatility. And then Grayson Allen, who's been kind of it feels like just a starting job has been Grayson's to lose since the beginning of last season. He did end up losing it last season. There's a chance that's going to happen again this year, especially with some trade news we'll have to talk about as well. But where are you at right now on, the current starting five? We'll say the healthy-ish version, Jevon, Jrue, Grayson, Giannis, Brook. And who would you slide in Khris for? And where are you at on bringing Pat into the mix as well?
So let's start with Jevon here. So Jevon Carter, here's I mentioned I have a fun Jevon stat. Jevon Carter has already started 3 more games this season than he's ever started in his entire career total. Yeah. Before this season, he'd started 9 games in his NBA career. He started 12 already so far.
That's awesome.
The Milwaukee Bucks. Huge props to Jevon Carter.
The funny thing real quick is I still get people saying Bud's not going to play Jevon. He's going to play George Hill over Jevon. I'm like, he started every game the Milwaukee Bucks have played this year. Like, maybe that still happens. Literally all of the evidence is that Jevon is he started every single game the Milwaukee Bucks have played. Can we not complain about something that might happen that there's no evidence of unless it happens? Thank you.
Let's start to give Bud let's give Bud a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here.
Nah, War is still playing, so let's not.
I mean, like, you take some, be loose. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
But Jevon Carter, like you mentioned, he has been the Buck that stepped up. He had that career night in OKC where it's like, you don't have Giannis, you don't have Jrue, you don't have Khris, you don't have Pat, you don't have Joe Ingles, obviously. You can have Jevon Carter have a career night and lead you to victory in double overtime, like with a chance to win it in single overtime. Thanks, Brooke.
Yeah.
It's just been a complete revitalization of Jevon Carter's career. It's just been incredible to see him grow as a player and show, hey, I belong. I can actually be not only a NBA player, but a high-level productive NBA player who has a chance to be a swing piece on a title contender.
The tools, man. The tools on display in those 2 games were outrageous. I mean, we looked at him as, and this is your comp, I'm not forgetting, I'm not going to steal it from you accidentally, sometimes I do, but the supercharged realization of Delhi, that's what we wanted from Delhi, is what we thought we could get from Jevon, right? Of like scrappy defense, Jevon is better than Delhi was on defense, that 2015 finals aside, kind of orbit around Giannis, hit threes, make a couple passes. The finishing that he was showing against both OKC and San Antonio, and some pretty good defensive. I mean, he's doing it against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jakob Poeltl at the 5 for the Spurs is a good defender. Like, there's not nobody out there for these teams. They're obviously not great teams, but I think the Bucks did not have a lot of talent going either, and Jevon still able to get to the rim. These great reverse finishes. His signature mid-range jumper, Marcus Johnson highlighting tweaks he's made to his shot to make it more repeatable, more sustainable, and showing it that he has the ability to be one of the best 3-level scorers on the team. I mean, up there with Khris, I don't know who else. I guess Giannis, sort of, but we know the second and third levels are always kind of touch and go with Giannis. The first level's damn good, but it was really like eye-opening, even to me, who I think has been one of the staunchest Jevon Carter fans all along. Like, I remember in the offseason kind of getting poo-pooed when I said, no, he can be their backup point guard. Like, he does more ball handling, I think, than he's shown. He clearly can. And I think there's still going to be some turnovers, but but honestly, since early in the season, I felt like he's really tightened that up too. I think there was some exhaustion late in the Thunder game, which makes sense. But he showed a ton. And I do think this week has been tremendous for his status as remaining in the starting 5, because if he can just carry that aggressiveness, some of that shot making over, clearly the volume's not going to be the same, but he showed more in those 2 games than I think we've seen most Bucks role players show like ever. I mean, outside of some rare, not counting like a guy like Brook Lopez, but it was pretty incredible to see.
Yeah, it really was. You see a guy who has the potential. Like we've seen Jrue Holiday like sort of struggle when he's been overtaxed on the offensive end in big moments, like take the last couple playoff runs, last 2 playoff runs. Which is it's not Jrue's fault. Like Khris was out last season, and it's just like that's not his game. I've talked about that. But you see a guy who can potentially take some playmaking responsibilities, take some shot creating responsibilities. Obviously, he's not going to be like, especially when Giannis and Khris and Jrue are all healthy, he's not going to be like a featured piece, like in terms of like being like top 3. But can he be a reliable outlet and be like, hey, if the defense is like, if it's a dead possession, can you go create something out of nothing? Jevon Carter's proven that he can do that. He can do that like reliably. And that's just something the Bucks have been lacking in the starting lineup, like an additional shot creator. So just getting back to the original topic, I can't really see him leaving the starting lineup.
I got a stat for you. Pulled up live.
Let's hear it.
Who do you think had more assists? Jevon Carter in the last 2 games or Grayson Allen in the 21-22 playoffs? 12 games. Oh, God.
Oh, no. It's Jevon, isn't it?
18-15 in favor of Jevon Carter.
Oh, boy.
I do think, even if Grayson is a better shooter, which he shot 39.6% in those playoffs, the assists are a big deal. And being more, we've talked about this with George Hill before, being that connective tissue, given all the other talent on the Bucks, I think there's a lot of value in that. And Jevon putting up 18 assists with the scoring in those 2 games, like, again, no Khris, no Jrue, no Giannis, like these like passes to Brook Lopez, who's good, like Bobby Portis, some probably to Grayson in the first game, in the first half of the first game when he still scored. But I just think he showed off so much in those couple of games that it's just, I mean, I looked this up on Win in 6, if you haven't listened to that yet, covering, at least that first game on Thursday.
Yeah, you guys go through my playback gaffes.
Yeah, not all gaffes, your playback moments, your playback highlights, I would say. But in that, I think I pulled up that Jevon is the 4th Bucks player in the Budenholzer era to have a game like he had on Wednesday. And it's literally Jrue did it twice, Eric Bledsoe did it twice, and Giannis did it like 9 times. Of course, that's what you'd expect. But like we just haven't seen this from role players. I mean, those are the 2 starting point guards in Giannis. Those are the only guys who had done 30 points, 10 assists. It's cool. I'm very excited for Jevon. Gyro Step. Look what happens. Look what happens when you come on the Gyro Step.
I mean, the GSPN bump is real.
Johnny O'Brien's got to have 50 and 20 somewhere right now. Somewhere. We'll have to look up where, but I still believe there too. Bring back JOB. Anyway, so I guess just kind of segue into Grayson then, the other guy.
Yeah, I mean, like before we leave Joe do you think he should remain in the starting lineup?
Yeah, I do. And I think the offense is almost, it's not found money. I think it's important to why he's going to stay. I think the reason he was there to start was the defense, which is still like weaponizing Jrue is bigger than either Jevon or Grayson impact on defense. And I think that's a big deal for the Bucks. That's how I feel. And I think they maybe looked at that Celtics series and said, they said clearly the offense wasn't good enough and that we're tweaking that. But, having to live with like Grayson on guys like Marcus Smart, because Wes, you don't want to put on guards, and we want Jrue on one of the J's. Like, I think they really like the flexibility of saying we can put Jrue on anyone because Jevon either can guard any point guard, or we can put him, if there's like a roving 2 guard, we can put him on him too. And I think that is really important. And then we've seen the offensive flashes now. Like, I'm all in on Jevon. So yeah, I would start him the rest of the year and just let him continue to build what he can do, especially more reps with the starters. And like, let's see 2 of those reverse layup finishes per game instead of 8 or whatever that he had against OKC. But I think that opens up a ton for him and for the rest of the Bucks.
For sure, 100%. It's just
Also, look at where we've come.
Yeah.
Do you remember I had a tweet saying like this or retweet this if you want Goran Dragic to be a Buck?
Yeah.
And then it didn't work out. And I replied to that tweet like, whatever, bum, we didn't want you anyway. And I ended up, I mean, I was lying at the time, but it ended up being correct.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Dragic he's actually killing it.
He's having a good year. Yeah, he's having a good year on a team that won't do anything. But we got a guy who's going to start on a title contender.
He was not the best in Brooklyn last season, I'll say that.
Jevon Carter, the second best player on Nets payroll this year?
I know. It's incredible, Ty. It's incredible, Ty. I'm glad you brought
$4 million. He's getting paid more from the Nets than the Bucks this year.
And I don't think we haven't recorded since then. One of the coldest interviews of all time.
Dude, yeah. I know. I feel a little bad for Zora, but I feel like it's it's the most friendly way possible. But yeah, when did you know you just had to keep going, keep shooting? And he just says, when I woke up, and then just looks at Zora and says nothing else. I totally believe him. And listen, I will say, I think it matters that he doesn't have like 5 points, 2 assists the next game against the Spurs, which would have been somewhat reasonable given his season averages and like what he's done as a player. Like, I expected more of a dud in that game. I just think it's hard to maintain. Like, oh yeah, I'm the lead offensive player for an NBA team now after being the 7th guy for 4 years. And he just came out and more or less, I mean less, but did it again to somewhat the same level. That's super impressive.
It's ridiculously impressive. And you got a banger of a tweet out of that interview.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I muted it. It was just too much. It's just everyone with that cold emoji, like 5 people saying he's never going to do that again, which I had to unmute the convo and go back to those people and be like, hey, 21-6 tonight. How we feeling? But I resisted. I didn't do it.
You got the Bleacher Report tag and everything?
Yeah. It was nice of them to tag me. There was a time when they didn't do that. So shout out to Bleacher. Ethical tweeting.
Ethical tweeting. We love ethical things here on the Gyro Step. I'm
okay with unethical trade requests, maybe, but we'll get there later in the pod.
Boss man
is not ethical, dude.
I say boss man whenever I can.
I know. I'm sad it's not his Twitter handle. It's only his IG handle.
Yeah, that's what about it. Like,
yeah, it doesn't matter. He's boss man. They should put that on. They need to do the nickname jerseys like MLB has done. His has to say boss man. I mean,
the NBA used to do it.
Yeah.
In the Heatles days, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they need to bring those back, man. But we can finally segue to Grayson Allen. It's been weird. He had it was strange in San Antonio because he was scheduled to be a starter.
He had bubble guts.
Yeah. Shout out KD. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so he was scheduled to be a starter and everything, and then all of a sudden he gets pulled from the starting lineup. Jordan Nwora is starting, and then he's not seen on the bench. Yeah, and everyone's like, "Hey, what's happening here?"
I know. I didn't get my hopes up. It would be a very random time for a trade, and he was reported out or questionable actually at first with a non-COVID illness, which some of the tweets about. He's gripping both walls of the stall right now. The Tex-Mex didn't hit right, or all sorts of hilarious tweets. Tough game for him to miss, given the context of probably a starting lineup change in the next couple of weeks as Khris gets back. Whether he starts right away or comes off the bench for a couple games. I mean, clearly Khris is going to end up a starter one way or another. Tough timing to miss a game. Whatever, Grayson. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it is a non-COVID illness. I'll say that. Yes. We've seen those designations change in the past. But yeah, Grayson Allen. But no, I got to let you talk about Grayson. This is, you spent the summer, I think wisely, saying I'm not giving up. I'm not trading him right now. I got to see some more first. The trade rumors are flying. I think that we have to bake that in here. There was a report. I don't remember from who. I thought it was
Jake Fisher.
Yeah, Jake Fisher. I was gonna say I thought it was a good one. The Bucks are calling around, gauging Grayson Allen's trade value. It certainly seems to anticipate or agree with Jevon remaining a starter. I'll say that much. But where are you at now on Grayson as a player and the idea of trading Grayson Allen?
It's been up and down. It's been up and down. Like one of the reasons, like you mentioned this summer, I was championing the Grayson Allen redemption tour. And it's been there in flashes. Like you see, like one thing we wanted to see from him, and I wanted to see from him specifically, more decisiveness in the way he moves around, especially on the offensive end. Defense is what it is.
Yeah,
but on the offensive end, make him more valuable.
He fights.
Yeah, it's fine. He tries his best. He's not Karl Anthony Towns out there.
Oh,
it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah,
but he's trying. He's doing his best. Sometimes he just gets outplayed.
Yeah,
it's on the offensive end. He needs to leverage like his skills, make himself extremely valuable. And one of the ways you could do that, be more decisive, like do quicker cuts, do quicker movement, quick passes, quick reads, everything so you can take advantage of a defense leveraged against you. He's had some flashes. He's driving to the rim a lot more. Is he passing out of? Is he passing out of those?
I expected that would be a positive, and it has not been.
I mean, theoretically, it's a positive.
Process over results to an extent.
Yes, like it's the regular season. Like, come on, like let him try some stuff out. But he's been driving to some avail. He struggled at times with his finishing inside the arc. Struggled at times with turnovers out of the passes he does make out of drives. The vision is there though. Like he's trying to do the right play. So it's just not. It's not fully put together yet.
So here's the thing. The finishing around the rim I can live with. So Grayson's shooting a higher percentage from 3 than from 2 this year, which is it's good and not good. 40.
He could, he's just a knockdown shooter type.
42.6% from 3 is his career best number. 41.4% from 2 is a career worst number. And it's not honestly on higher per game volume than the other seasons. So it's like a little concerning. Like maybe just an early season slump. Who knows? And I said I wanted to see more assists. He's up to 2.7 assists per game, which would be a career high.
You wanted 2 a game, right?
Yep. I did not want 2 turnovers per game. He's up to 1.7 turnovers per game, which is also a career high by a pretty wide margin, nearly 1 turnover per game. And I could live with the finishing at the rim. You could totally talk me into he'll figure it out and, he'll start hitting those shots at a more of an expected clip and they'll be fine. The decision making on drives, though, is like that's not something I think will be fixed in one season. Like that's just a huge issue. Like when he drives, it's either he gets right to the rim and probably misses, but at least he gets there. It's fine. I mean, you should probably make the layups, but Jrue gets away with it. So I guess Grayson learned from example. He's like, I just need to get there. But when he drives and he encounters,
he went to the Giannis school of finishing, but he's not Giannis.
Yeah. He's attempted some pretty I'll say the most positive besides the shooting. The most positive thing about Grayson this year is wow, that was a good kind of turnaround, post move, scoop. I'm like, oh, you really?
Do you remember that ridiculous and one he had a few games ago, where he was falling forward away from the basket, chucks it up behind him and it goes in. He's attempted some good ones.
He's the ingenuity on drives, on drive shot attempts, I should say, has been nice. But the deer in headlights, not the good kind of deer that we're looking for on the Milwaukee Bucks. The deer in headlights.
I don't think we're any deer in headlights regarding the Bucks is good.
No, that's what I mean. Deer in headlights bad. Other deer is usually pretty good. But when he drives and encounters more resistance than he expected, he's either kind of flailing into a guy and just kind of lobbing the ball straight up, which is not good, or he's turning around and passing. And almost all the times he does this, it goes right to a defender, exactly right to a defender. And the number per game isn't insane. It's less than 2 turnovers per game. But I'd have to imagine at least half of those are some of the ugliest ones you've ever seen, really damaging live ball. What are you thinking turnovers? And I do think his level of play has probably not been as low as some fans and watchers, myself included, have reacted, because the lows are disgustingly low. What was the thought process here at all? Did you see the the clip. I think it was Marcus Mariota trying to throw a pass while he was like horizontal and hitting the ground.
Yes.
That's been Grayson Allen on drives. Like he's like flailing straight forward. The ball's at a weird angle coming out. You're just like that. You can't just travel at this point. Like it's going to be less harmful, my guy. And it's just been tough. Like this is year 2, some more familiarity with the Bucks. He's clearly trying to add some more things, but needs to go back to the Pat Connaughton school of this is how you drive as an off-ball wing player on the Bucks. My God. I know all the talk is about Khris, of course, because they need Khris badly on offense. Seeing a wing player on the Bucks like catch a pass, maybe pump fake, maybe shoot, maybe drive to the rim without throwing the ball to the other team, traveling twice a game. Love you, Marjan, but dribble before walk. Anything else, missing at the rim, like, God, I miss Pat too. Like, I need some more high-level wing play, man. There's been so many moments where an offensive possession just ends because Wara step 1 inch within the arc and let loose the flat shot that's all straight off back iron. Oh my goodness!
Did you hear Marcus in the Spurs game?
I didn't have volume on. But I heard this is funny.
It was he gets an offensive rebound, sort of in like the mid-range like wing area. Brook Lopez is right behind him, wide open at the three-pointer, and he pump fakes a pass before actually passing it to Brook. And Marcus is like, "Pass the ball! What are you doing?" It was amazing. And then Brook misses the shot, and he was like, "Yeah, that's because Jordan threw him off his rhythm." Like,
that's amazing. I will say, as I tried early season to be a Jordan Wara defender.
That's the best Jordan Wara defense we've seen all season.
The funny thing about him is he's gotten better. He'll have like 5 possessions in a row where it's like 3 are really good and 2 are like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. And then, 3 straight. It's never just 1 with him. It's 3 straight possessions of like, how? What is the calculus that results in you doing that on either end? And it's like, yeah, he can't play. He's, it sounds
no
very
disrespect
rude.
whatsoever, but I'm sorry to tell everybody the truth. The man cannot play the big game of basketball. He has no.
I said this in the Discord, and I'll share. I think we're gonna make it a little easier to join the Discord. If you've been intimidated before, gspn.info Discord link. Click Discord access. Get in the Discord because Twitter is on the Grayson Allen decision-making track right now. Grayson Allen on a drive. That's Elon kind of pivoting up, just throwing up stuff right now. But Wara. I said this in there. This is a little rude, but I legitimately do believe this. He's going to be an MVP level player in Guangdong. Like, that's where I'm at. That is where I'm at. I just don't see it on the NBA level. I'm sorry. And like that's good. That's a good career. If I could make $500K a year, putting up 40 points a game in China, hell yes, I would do that. Like I know Rohan's dying. I know it sounds so rude, but that's legitimately where I'm at. Like I'm sorry, but that is where I'm at. The NBA package, and there's going to be some team that takes a flyer. I think they're going to find out the same thing. Like the pieces are there. But they're so disconnected. It just doesn't matter. Marjan is better right now. Marjan should play over Wara in every possible lineup. And when the Bucks aren't without 6 guys, Wara just shouldn't play. I would rather see Mamu, who has not looked great, honestly. But I'd rather see Mamu, but for sure.
You look good with the herd.
Yeah, he beasted up Saturday night, right? I missed that game, but. Yeah. So sorry, Jordan Wara, but
that's the clip.
Yeah.
But, have you seen Taco fall? He's dominating in China.
See, I saw him play with the herd. Taco. People traveled to see him.
Yeah. It's a sight to see.
It is. It truly is. But yeah, there's no shame in that.
Dwight Howard's gonna kill it in Taiwan. Like,
I see people saying Dwight Howard doesn't deserve to have his career ended like this. What does that mean? He wants to go play basketball somewhere.
Yeah, he could retire, but he just didn't want to. He wants to play basketball.
What's wrong with that? Non-shooting centers, non-shooting point guards. It's a niche market, man.
Also, he's been in the league for like 18 years. Like he had a great career.
Yeah.
first ballot Hall of Famer, should have been in the top 75 of all time.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, that is unfair. He shouldn't have to end his career not being on that list. That sucks. But it's the same thing as Carmelo. Like him not getting a job now. Like, Carmelo had some to give. Sure, he found a really good role on a perfect fit team. Maybe Dwight can do that too later this season. But it's not like these guys are. This idea that Carmelo was blackballed from the league for what? What did Carmelo do? For going to the bodega with a bathrobe? Like, you need to do something to get blackballed. This idea that they don't want Carmelo. Like, what is that? That just means they don't want to sign him. That's a different thing.
Yeah, it's different. Like, there's a limited number of spots in the NBA.
Yeah, like this isn't a Cole Beasley situation. There's no idiotic talking point that Carmelo espoused. It's just like not good at defense, man. It's not that deep.
Yeah, it's fine. And he might sign with the team later.
Yeah, and so Dwight could too. A lot of times guys will play and come back in like February. There might be a spot for Dwight later this year.
Yeah, it remains to be seen. But what were we saying?
Jordan Ward. Yeah, we can move on from him. Yeah, Marjan though. Should we still talk about Grayson?
Yeah. So Grayson Allen, I think, is the most
at risk.
He's going to lose his spot.
Yeah, for sure. He had a good game off the bench against, was that Atlanta?
It was.
Because he had to start the OKC game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did start the OKC game. He did have a solid game off the bench in Atlanta. And didn't he come off the bench in OKC?
Yeah, the first OKC game, I think.
The first OKC game, he came off the bench.
Yeah, because that was the game without Giannis, so Bobby slid in. And then,
Yeah, he was 5 of 6 from 3 in that game. He was ridiculously high. He had a season high 19 points in that game. And in the second OKC game, he had 18, but he started.
Yeah.
But no, Grayson has found success in the past coming off the bench. Like, it's not a bad thing. Like,
yeah, it's fine.
He'll still have he's not going to be out of the rotation. He shouldn't be, and he won't be.
There's a scenario. I think
if you go super deep in the playoffs, that's it.
Yes,
but for the rest of the regular season, first round of the playoffs, probably second round of the playoffs, depending on how things go. Yeah, he's going to be in the rotation for sure, and because he deserves to be. He's good.
But I think you look at best case, if Ingles comes back and looks good, that I think is really the swing for Grayson. I think that is. I don't want to say death knell because that's a little dramatic, but that I think would be. If there ends up being a Grayson trade, it would not surprise me if it's 3 weeks after Ingles comes back and plays well. And it's oh, well, we have our guy who's a little suspect on defense, but gives us a lot offensively. I think it's a huge if. But the other side of it is or is the guy that they trade Grayson for someone that they trust more in the playoffs? Because I do think if Ingles is playing well, we've seen Jevon. I think Wes Matthews has started pretty slow from the field, but has made a couple of big shots, and he's still Wes Matthews. I think he's still a very helpful player. Marjan is getting into the conversation. I think he could round into a guy where he is logging 9th, 8th man minutes by the time we are at the playoffs. I don't think he would play late in the series, but honestly, given the defense and athleticism he gives them, I do think he's got more this season upside than I really expected. He had the real stinker against OKC, but by and large, even with the miscues, he just really fits well out there. So I'm not surprised to hear the Bucks maybe gauging Grayson's value in terms of, can we make a consolidation trade? Because as we've talked about, from the offseason until now, if they ever are fully healthy, which always has to be an if with this old team that has not been fully healthy in quite a while, they do have too many guys who you're yeah, this guy could play, but, probably not on this team. Like George Hill. Love George Hill. He's trying his best. He had 17 shots blocked against the Spurs. Keldon Johnson looked like a 16-year-old playing with his little cousins, dude. Rough stuff.
He was getting to the rim, though, which is good.
Yeah.
His shot was getting stuffed into oblivion, which is bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not that good if you get to the rim and your shot doesn't make it to 8 feet in the air. That's not ideal. And that was what was happening with George Hill over and over in that game. Grayson, I think, is kind of one of those guys. Wara just should never play, but he's a contract and salary and everything. So, can you flip 2, 3 of those guys into someone you believe in a little bit more? And is that worth it if you can? I think probably.
Are we talking Boss Man 99?
I mean, we have to talk Boss Man 99 because that's the guy who's like floated the most right now. And Jordan Clarkson, the Jazz have the best record in the West. Like at a certain point, we just have to take the L, and Adam McGee is going to be insufferable about this, but that's fine. It's honestly, I would probably be worse if I made this call and it actually played out this way. They're going to be a play-in team at worst.
Oh,
They're
100%.
They're going to. Like, we're at a point, you said what, 15% in the season? They are first in the West. They have more wins, I believe, than any team in the Western Conference. Some of the teams we thought were going to be good or at least solid are terrible.
They were the first team in the league to 10 wins, like including the Bucks.
I think it happened on the same night, right? But they got there earlier that night. Like, they are just logging too many wins to just be awful. And they're not. There's no inclination that they want to trade these guys right now. Do I think they may trade a guy by the deadline because the value is just there? Yes. But do I think they'll trade enough guys to lose so many parts that, and are they giving guys away for free? Absolutely not. Because they look good.
Are guys gonna cool off too? Like, is Lauri Markkanen continuing to be like,
Dirk, literally Dirk, which is what he's been for the first part of the season?
Is that going to continue? Maybe, probably not to this level.
He's good though. He's a good player.
Kelly Olynyk shooting like 90% from three, like, and like a better defender at the rim than Rudy Gobert was. Like, is that going to continue? Is that going to continue? No.
Everything.
What?
Have you seen the side by side? And you know what the funniest part? Andy Bailey, who is like a Jazz guy and like was a staunch Gobert defender, like with a heavy heart, shared the per 100 possessions and like net rating swings and everything of Rudy Gobert and Walker Kessler. And Walker Kessler in Utah has like the same numbers as Rudy Gobert. And it's like Wolves. And I thought the trade was fine, but Wolves, WYD, man. What is going on?
And the thing is, the Jazz have the Wolves pick, unprotected.
Oh my goodness.
Unprotected.
So that's the other reason too why I think the Jazz aren't that eager to tear down. They have a bunch of other picks now. They're like, yeah, I mean, maybe our pick is not a lottery pick, but we have 3 firsts for like the next 5 years.
Yeah, maybe we don't get Wembanyama, but we have Wembanyama at home, and it's Lauri Markkanen.
That too. Utah. What a honestly great story. Great.
Yeah,
for the
it's
league.
Fantastic.
Go ahead.
No, we have to see those hideous uniforms, but it's good for the league.
It's like,
have you seen the meme where it's like the worst NBA player like combining like a bunch of different players?
Oh, and they put Utah's jersey.
Yeah, it's like LeBron's hairline, Isaiah Thomas's height, DeAndre Jordan's hairline, Chris Paul's inability to win a ring. Like,
the yellow ones with the huge numbers are the worst jerseys I've ever seen. But it's like not like usually the NBA is such a league where you can kind of predict like, okay, these teams are going to lead their conference and be the best teams in the playoffs. Like the Warriors stink so far. They can't win on the road. Their bench sucks. Utah's great. Like the Sixers stink. The Heat stink. These things are great. I love the randomness in a league we usually don't see it. But I don't know. So Adam said he would be fine if they traded Grayson for picks. I don't think that will ever happen. I think they'll always get players back mid-season, post Brogdon. And that again was off-season. I don't think mid-season they would just trade it. And it's really functionally, it's hard to do as well. What kind of player would you be looking for, or what kind of trade? Like I think consolidation, where taking 2 or 3 of these guys, where you're just like, I like them, but I'm not sure, and taking a swing on something more. I still think that's the model for them. I also sneakily like, can you get a backup big? Serge's been okay. It's not a dire need, but he's also old, and Brook is old. And can you get someone you can keep in the org? Like, I don't know. That could be. It's such a limited.
Dwight Howard? Need. Question mark?
You don't need to make a trade for that one. Well, I guess technically for a roster spot, but that's not a trade. I think the issue is the same as it was in the offseason of like, it's such a low upside move in the short term that I don't know, but. That's on the table. I'm guessing it'd be more of a wing player or some sort of a guard, ball handler. I don't know. What do you think about like the whole concept of a trade?
I mean, yeah, a consolidation trade would probably like help. We know John Horst is going to be active at the deadline. He has every single season. He's been the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks. A backup big, that's a good idea. Could you get a wing? Like, is Boss Man 99 going to help your team? I'd say so. It's like, you mentioned we've seen some struggling wing play this season, but that's also because no Khris, no Pat, no Joe Ingles. Is that going to sort of sway the Bucks front office away from making a trade for another wing? Possibly. I think it's just, that's why I don't think anything was going to happen with Grayson Allen, like that San Antonio game. Like, you just have to wait and see what you got.
Way too early.
Exactly. Like, you have to see what you have with at least Khris and Pat. Like,
yeah.
Before you make any sort of big decision. But I don't think they would trade Grayson just for picks, just to get like assets, because that's just, it feels like asset mismanagement to do that. Like, you have to be able to improve the team. Just trading Grayson for picks does not improve the team.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's basically going, and it's not really this. People said it was this, but like when they traded Dante and number 37 and Hood and got back Serge and like, I think 2 picks, something, right?
Yeah, they got picks. Yeah, second round picks.
Like, that made more sense because, one, you get Serge, which they needed bigs, and Serge didn't really work out that year, yet he's here again. Honestly, had an okay season so far for versus expectations. But, like, that, I think, and then Pat gets hurt right after. I think that's why they really couldn't. They need to bring back a player if they're moving Grayson, because with how snakebit they've been by injuries, it would be just their luck to, like, oh, Khris is out for another month, or Pat is out for a while right after they trade Grayson. And then it's like, okay, Wes, you're playing 30 minutes now in the regular season and we need you. MarJon is a little bit of insurance against that, but I do think you need a player back who can play. I like Crowder. I do wonder, like, you know, how many defense first guys is too many? I know that that's what they trust in the playoffs, but you still got Wes. The defense still looks good. He's not as big as Crowder, but it's there. MarJon, right now, I'd say is a defense-first player. The offense is a mixed bag. I don't know how much he'll play in a playoff series, but it's like you trade Grayson, who's certainly an offense-first player, and I think really I'd prefer maybe even if the offensive upside is less, can we get someone who's more well-rounded and not such a like a big split between offense-defense? I will say for Crowder, even when he shoots like badly, he still is like scoring 10 points. Like, he still finds ways to score. He's a productive player.
Crashes the boards.
Yeah. Is that less valuable on the Bucks with Giannis and Brook down low? Maybe. It's not perfect
We've seen
fit.
them get out rebounded though.
We have
recently.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's helpful. I don't think the fit is perfect, but also when you're scrounging around with like Grayson and Wara's contract and Hill's contract, and they have the one first, so they use that this deadline. We'll see. I mean, maybe that's an offseason move. Maybe it's not traded in the near term. I mean, it's 7 years away from being able to use the damn thing. I don't know. I think if you can get Boss Man for seconds and Grayson, and especially if you can we sneak War in there somehow too, and either open up a roster spot or take back literally anyone else? Like, I'd be pretty receptive to that. I don't know if Phoenix would be, but I would be.
Yeah, especially with the recent reporting that like Miami is a potential destination. With like Max Strus being someone that Phoenix is coveting, like, can they get a better offer than the Bucks offer? Maybe.
Yeah, it probably does come down to the sweeteners. I still think like
where's Jay Crowder going to play? Not FTX Arena. Yeah,
that's hilarious. Suns, by the way, second best in the West, like really up there. So having a really good year. My other question on that is like, you know, now that Cam Johnson's out for a while, do they bring him back, or is it just too far? Is Boss Man decided we won't?
I mean, he's like, with the way he's been handled in social media, probably it's a little too far gone. Especially because he hasn't come back yet.
The irony is Phoenix is the only good team he would actually start on right now, at least until Cam Johnson comes. He's not going to start on the Bucks, I don't think.
But he also refuted the claims that it's because of the starting role.
We'll see.
We'll see if that's actually true or not.
So if you did like Grayson makes 1.6 less million than Crowder per year. So could you do Grayson and War? You'd have to wait is the issue for that. But then can you bring back, I don't know, Josh Okogie on a minimum or something too?
I don't think the Suns do that.
No. They won't trade Jock Landale, who's having an incredible season.
No, they won't. I don't know what the bigs in Phoenix just feast.
Yeah. Well, Chris Paul. It's
and he's been hurt recently.
True. He rubbed off on Devin Booker a little bit. Alec Burks. How do you feel about Alec Burks?
I have no opinion on Alec Burks.
He came back and played pretty well. $10 million a year. He's in that range. Pistons are not good, but they just re-up Bojan. Like, they're not in any hurry to sell off guys, I don't think. Is there anyone on the Magic? Terrence Ross for the 800th year?
I mean, he likes streaming in Orlando, man. Like
he's very comfortable there. Did you hear the other day he said, someone in his chat said T. Ross to LA? And he's like, only if LeBron comes here and a bunch of other guys go back. And I was like, what? Are you talking about salary scales, or is Terrence Ross literally like, yeah, I'm not moving unless LeBron's coming here. I'm not going to be involved in a trade unless I didn't understand his comment. T. Ross, he wants to
be does he want to be the guy in LA? Like,
I feel like he's very realistic. I feel like I just I think maybe it was a salary thing. I don't know. Gary Harris when he's trade eligible, but $13 million a year is a lot.
Yeah, it'll be tough. Mo Bamba kind of stinks.
Too. Yeah. He had a good game recently, but who else is bad? It's just that
there's not a lot out there.
Eric Gordon, but $19 million? No, it's just not going to happen.
It's too much. Mike Conley?
Way too much.
Yeah. And do you even need a Mike Conley? Like, if you have Jrue Holiday and Jevon Carter?
Yeah, that's the thing. Jevon coming on makes guard. We thought guard would be more pressing. Now I just think, like, either another offensive threat or, like, can you solidify the wings? We'll see what happens as the season goes on, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a robust trade market. I think the most fascinating thing would still be they go out and get Miles Turner. And he's like a super bench depth guy. I mean, that kind of signals they'd be, and this would hurt, but it's like you're probably not re-signing him and Brook Lopez. So that's really tough. I guess you'd get a year to see. But that would be like the most dramatic, like we are going to take a flyer on this backup big thing. And I think you pretty much, Hill, Wara, and Allen would all have to go, I'm pretty sure, for the salary to be there. But it's possible. Yeah, that's 16-ish million to 18 million.
And just ask Miles Turner. He knows he's available.
He's going on the Woj pod to reiterate that he is. Something like that I think would be interesting, but that's a trade maybe they only make that like if something goes wrong with Brook. Like again, I just don't see all those players, and you have to throw in assets too. I don't think the Pacers are very excited about any of these guys I just think it'd be weird for them to do.
Especially when they have like the potential LA trade offer.
I don't know if that's still. I don't know if LA might be looking to trade guys and get picks at this point. I think they're like, what, 2-10?
Yeah, it's bad.
You don't come back from a certain record in the league. And they've had a lot of their guys. They just are not good at basketball anymore. So are the Bucks an Anthony Davis destination?
Oh, God. I don't think that's a good fit.
No. Not with Brook there, too. And you don't trade. I'm not trading Brook for Anthony Davis. There's my take of the podcast.
Yeah, but also, like, if you want to get Miles Turner, you want a shooting big, you have a 40% 3-point shooting big waiting in the wings on the bench.
Who? Oh,
Serge Ibaka.
Yeah.
He's shooting exactly 40% from three this season.
If the Lakers called and offered LeBron James for Khris Middleton and a 2029 first, what do you do?
Oh no.
Yeah.
That might be the most shocked I've ever been.
I know. That was great. The reaction, the genuine reaction I got from you there was incredible.
Wow. I don't know.
Should I pull up LeBron's stats this year?
Yeah, do it.
The thing about LeBron is we always talk about another down. I don't actually, you know what? He's not tradable this year.
Yeah, he's not trade eligible.
But everyone's down year for LeBron. LeBron looks bad. 25, 8.8 rebounds, 6.9 assists, 45% from the field, 56% from two.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
He's also shooting 24% from three.
Yeah. Well, he's taking 7 a game because nobody else there shoots.
And you're trading your best 3-point shooter to do that.
Yeah. But you have others. You have a lot more than the Lakers still.
I don't think I'd do it.
I'm not interested in acquiring LeBron. And I do think,
obviously,
and I do think at least by the summer, LeBron could be actually on the move.
Yes.
Would
you do the trade?
I mean, Chris's health, I think, is the reason I would probably do it.
Yeah, and he's not like LeBron's actually under contract for longer.
Yeah, at 38-year-old LeBron has been large. I mean, he's missed a lot of games the last couple seasons. Also, has not been incentivized to play that much the last couple seasons since the title. And I think the Bucks, the way they could limit his minutes and really make sure he's right, like imagine a LeBron Giannis pick and roll.
Oh my God.
The fit is not good. Like the fit is not great. I'll say that. The talent is all, but like LeBron is much better than Khris right now.
Yes. That's like without a doubt. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, he's just even at 38, he just is. He's declining.
That's not what I'm trying to say at all, to be clear.
I know. But like last season, he scored 30 points a game on a terrible team with no help.
He's potentially the greatest player of all time.
Yeah. Imagine LeBron breaking the scoring record in Milwaukee as a Milwaukee Buck.
Oh my God, time.
Yeah, like I would absolutely.
But would he be okay being second banana?
I mean, he has lied to the world and told us that he is second banana to Anthony Davis.
Oh yeah, it's been
4 years.
I mean, but that's LeBron's thing, just lying.
Yeah, of course. Giannis lies too.
Yeah.
So they'd fit in perfect. Imagine they're like triple doubles on the court, and then the post game presser, they're just one upping each other.
It's their post game press conferences are going to be like that LeBron Kyrie graphic from the finals.
Yes. Giannis is going to say, LeBron's going to say, I saw Giannis play when he was 14 when I was in Santorini for an off season. And I said right then, that kid's going to be special.
I called the Octagon and said, you need to send guys down here.
And then
this guy is it.
And then Giannis is going to be like, I hadn't heard of LeBron, but the first time I watched his highlights, I said he'll be a great teammate in 2023.
Yeah, and he's the best player in the world. Like, it's not me.
Yeah,
it's him.
he would definitely say that. I'm not interested.
Yeah, they both lie and say the other is the top guy,
which is fine with me. That works
as long as they know Giannis is one.
Yeah, I just think he's maybe the most realistic superstar who's going to be available in the next year.
That's crazy.
That's where we're at. I mean, they stink.
That's good. Is he more available than AD?
No, but we said superstar.
Yeah, that's true. That's
not unavailable elite role player. He scores like 2 points in every second half. I don't get it. I don't get the appeal anymore.
No, and he's been really good defensively, but like he also got bullied. Yeah, exactly. And he also got bullied. He got bullied by Lowry Markkanen.
Yeah, I mean, I was not kidding when I said I'm not trading Brook Lopez for Anthony Davis. And it's
why would you?
If that take gets aggravated, people laugh at me. Honestly, the sad thing is, I don't think Lakers fans would even. I think they'd be like, man, we kind of miss Brook. I think they'd be better this year with Brook out there.
Oh yeah,
that's a legitimate take with the spacing and being available and not shying away from the big moments. Yeah.
Brook is like a top 5 DPOY candidate right now.
Yeah, should be top 1.
He should be top 1. Here's my thing. He should be higher than Giannis.
Yeah, I agree. It's 100%. Like, it's name recognition stuff. Like Giannis has had a good defensive season by his standards.
Brooks clearly been better.
Brook has cleared everyone in the association.
It's ridiculous. He's the best rim protector in the league by far. And also one thing about the LA Brook thing, people think like, oh yeah, the Lakers cut Brook Lopez. They didn't people think they traded him. People think they cut him.
They just didn't re-sign him.
He was a free agent. He left.
Yeah. But
who knows?
They didn't try to re-sign him.
We don't know that. He
was on some pod and he more or less said that. It might have been the Low Post way back when.
Oh, it might have been.
I remember listening to this in a Taco Bell and I was like, oh wow. Now I'm hungry. We're way off the rails. Should we get back to the actual Bucks? It's going to be people who are like, oh, why are you talking about trades? They're so good. Like, you probably haven't met. Have you heard of John Horst? It's going to happen. They're not going to trade for LeBron this year because they can't. But off season's interesting.
for sure. LeBron to Milwaukee.
Do I mind if the roster is half Antetokounmpo's and James's? No, I don't. No, I don't. If you get the best two of those, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. It'll be family ties. Like, it's good.
Sign Alex, Costas, Thanasis, Bronny, Savannah. I don't care, dude. Give me LeBron and Giannis and like 10 other decent players. Fill out the rest however you want to.
Yeah, like Bryce is gonna skip high school and come straight to the Bucks. That's fine with me.
Let's break labor laws and bring in Bryce. I don't care. Pay the fines. We'll start a GoFundMe.
LeBron will pay him himself.
Yeah. While he opens a book to the first page and says, "This is a classic."
Yeah, it'll be the autobiography that has his name on it, but someone else wrote it. Ethical
lying-ish. Not really.
No, it's very
Bucks.
Bucks.
Yes. LeBron's not coming yet. I just wanted to get ahead of that before we hear our first Bucks sniffing around LeBron rumor. I feel like we should talk about MarJon unless anyone else from the current roster stands out to you more.
No, we should definitely talk about MarJon. I think he is the most up and down player we've seen this season.
Yeah, 100%. The funny thing, somebody posted the meme of like, what was it? Oh, it's Gordon Ramsay reacting to the MasterChef Junior versus MasterChef. It's like, oh, it's okay, you donkey. And it's like Bucks fans reacting to MarJon Beauchamp versus Wara. Like, actually, the stats used to make it look bad. Now, Wara 29% from the field, 29% from three. MarJon 37% from the field, 27% from three. So neither of them lighting it up statistically, but certainly there's a different level of reactions to both, which I think is honestly pretty fair.
Yeah, and the thing with MarJon is he's either going 5 of 8 from 3 or he's going 0 for 6.
Yeah. And only one 0 for 6, right?
Yeah, it was 2 of them actually.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Yeah.
Both the Thunder games? Or no, it was one the Spurs game. One was the Spurs game.
First OKC game and then the Spurs game.
Yeah, never mind.
In the second OKC game, he was 5 of 8.
He has been incredibly inconsistent, which again, he's a rookie. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, especially with his minutes totals like actually going up, like he's actually getting legitimate chance to play actual high level basketball, which is very, very new for him. It's the first time realistically for him. So it's just like you have to live with these growing pains. If you didn't expect this to happen, like, come on, what are you doing? But the flashes are there. The first bucket in the San Antonio game, Ty. Oh my goodness. A little turnaround fade, perfect footwork. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about 3-level scorers. I think MarJon is going to take, outside of Khris, Giannis, and Jevon, I don't think and Brooke, I guess, and Bobby. Okay, it's a lot, but there's not a lot of play. He's going to take mid-range jumpers. He's more apt to take them than a lot of players in the Bucks rotation. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's like the mechanics are there. Both of us have made some videos breaking down some MarJon tape. But like it's the tools are there for him to really, really take off and succeed. Especially like his shot mechanics, like we just mentioned, it's up and down. The mechanics look fluid. They look very fluid.
Yeah.
Like he has a quick trigger, quick release. Like you'll just see him catch the ball and put it up right away.
It's kind of Malik Monkey. It kind of just like goes straight out. I remember I always loved his jumper coming out. What? Is that a random comp again?
No, it's just you're just saying monkey.
Oh, yeah. Malik Monk-esque. That's what I meant.
Malik Monk-esque. Yeah, I mean, I see that a little bit. I do see that a little bit.
I don't think it's kind of flat, but it's just like it just unfurled so smooth. I thought Malik Monk was going to be a player, man.
He was first on your free agency board a couple of years ago.
He would have looked great as a Buck, I will say.
He was ahead of Bobby Portis, if I remember correctly.
All right, well let's move on. We all make mistakes. Me more than most.
No, it's fine. I thought the Pistons were going to be 500.
Should I get an upside down 37 and hang it upside down under this as like the opposite thing?
Would that make it right side up then? If you're getting an upside down 37 and hanging it upside down?
I didn't mean. I looked up another stat that doesn't look as close for these two players. And it's early.
What is that?
And it's fuzzy. But their net rating on off court is like hilarious. So in 147 minutes, the Bucks have a plus 3.9 net rating when MarJon plays. In 215 minutes, The Bucks have a minus 11 net rating when Jordan Nwora plays. Worst on the team. Here are the players around him. Serge Ibaka, minus 1.2 in 160 minutes. So like they've lost, but not terribly. And he's played with, he plays garbage time, as does Nwora, but he gets sucked into that. Thanasis.
I mean, Beauchamp does too.
Yeah, it's true. Thanasis, 18 minutes, minus 8.6 net rating. It's not been good. The TA, I actually don't know if TA should be ahead of Nwora. It's been bad. AJ Green, 2 minutes, minus 50. So realistically, the only other rotation player, even in the negative at all, is Serge at minus 1.2. Jevon is plus 0.2. I think like 50 minutes with no help kind of torpedoed that number for him. And then like Wes is 0.6. So like the only other real rotation player in the negative is Serge. And then you look at when they're off court, the Bucks are plus 14.1 net rating without Jordan Nwora, which is so that they're the best when he's not on the court. It's tough.
we talked about this earlier. He's bad. It's not good.
It's like Dante coming back from injury when we looked at those numbers last year, and it's like they need to get rid of him because he's like literally torpedoing them when he plays every single time.
Yeah, it's just I wish they could get healthy so we don't have to see Nwora minutes.
I really wanted to think they saw something, that contract, they believe. I don't anymore. Maybe the Bucks do. Bud certainly takes the long view. I think when they're healthy, we're never going to see him. And maybe he gets dealt, maybe he doesn't. The second year on that thing looks pretty tough right now, though. That thing in general looks tough right now.
Is it fully guaranteed?
I think it is, but let me look.
Yeah, but it's I think I do believe he's not going to finish the year as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks.
That should be Lindell Wigginton. Give me Jonte Porter. Give me Joe Wieskamp. Like, there's 3 guys on the herd I'd rather have, which is a lot of players. No offense to the G League. That's a lot of players on the G League team where you're cleanly like, yeah, I'll take that guy.
Give me Alex.
Seems that's a two-way move for me, but sure. Work in progress.
Yeah. Just like Lindell deserved that spot. I mean, convert Mamu.
Fully guaranteed contract.
Mamu
Nwora.
still being on a 2-way and Nwora having a 2-year fully guaranteed contract is tough. It's a tough look.
I wonder, that might have been a cap mechanism that they had to make it enough. No, I don't think so. I don't know. Doesn't look good.
No, maybe it was just to give him more, like a little bit more than the what's the word?
Qualifying offer.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would certainly imagine that we see trade. I mean, there's not going to be reports on this, but that to me, it's got to be a trade salary building block, and that's like the best case for that contract now.
Yeah, because like the $15 million in luxury tax plus actual salary that they're paying for that Jordan Nwora contract is ridiculous.
I will say maybe they just really wanted to prove that they're not cheap after all. And
they've done that. Like we've come around
last year.
They did. Yeah. They showed us like they're really not cheap. Like you think we're cheap? We're gonna pay Jordan Nwora this much money. How does that make you feel? Do you want us to be cheap now?
Kind of. Getting cheaped out on that one, but it's all right. Doesn't really negatively affect the team much at all. And like I said, if they use him as building block in a trade,
it does negatively affect the team, Ty. Like they he's literally a negative on the court.
Well, okay, yeah, fair. Yeah, I guess could have been any. I mean, I'm saying, yeah, the second year doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Paying him more doesn't. I mean, whatever. They shouldn't have brought him back, but we're here now. And if they can use him as a building block, like they couldn't pay anyone else $3 million. That is worth saying. Like anyone who wasn't a returning free agent, like they would have had to do a vet minimum, which counts for much less in trade. So this could be, I don't know why you do the second year fully guaranteed. Again, I don't know if that's a CBA thing, but it does give you a building block that you otherwise would not have had. And if that's what it ends up being, that's pretty savvy.
And that's what I think it'll likely end up being.
I mean, that's the most upside we've got left. I'm sorry, yes. I've given up. If anyone out there has Nwora stock, it's literally negative dollars now, which is not possible in the real world.
He owes us money.
Yeah. And not us, his stockholders, which is not me. I divested.
Yeah. He's the only negative on the Buck stock market right now, which you can find at gspn.info.
Yeah. Anyone else you want to talk about? Brooke still looks great.
Brooke looks great. Bobby's been...
He started slow and like kind of pulled it together the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Not as good as I would hope, but I mean, ended up 16-12, I think, against the Spurs. Whatever, they were outmanned.
It's been all right.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's tough to evaluate all these players when you don't have Giannis, Jrue, Khris.
Yeah. The fact that they split those games is honestly pretty damn impressive.
It really is. It really is. Like that Thunder win is quality. That is a quality win, especially against a team who's like not actively losing in the Thunder.
Yeah.
They're trying to win.
I think they just beat the Wolves, didn't they?
Yeah, but that's like saying I beat the Sixers when they were trying to tank. Like,
true. Did the Sixers lose last night?
No, they won. They won against the Hawks.
I'm hating hard out here. I look at the schedule every day, and I go, I hope these 4 teams all lose. Wow, the Nets keep winning without Kyrie.
Yeah, they're 4-1 without Kyrie, and hilarious. They have a great defensive rating. Like, it's wild that over the last like 4 years now, teams have been better without Kyrie.
Jevon Carter was the point guard they should have kept. One last quick question. I think I know how you'll answer, but I do think we should talk about it. Are you more worried about not beating the washed allegations, George Hill or Wes Matthews?
Wes.
You're more worried about You're more worried about having to beat the allegation. You think Wes is more likely washed than George?
Oh, no. I thought you were saying if they're both washed, who are you both most worried about?
No,
that's how
I mean like who are you worried won't beat the washed allegations? Both are dealing with them right
George Hill. Hill. I think Wes has the ability to pull it back. Like,
I think it's literally just knocking down a couple shots. Like, I think he's just been cold. I think physically though, he's looked pretty solid out there.
Yeah, like the only time he's really gotten cooked defensively is that SGA step back 3.
Which again, it's like he was half a step off, and that's just enough for SGA.
Yeah, and he's cross matched onto him too.
Yeah,
like that's not his actual designated assignment there, but
yeah,
it's that's tough. But it's like I think Wes has been all right. Like you were saying, he just needs to shoot the ball better.
Yeah,
George Hill just
good entry passes.
Yeah, that's true. Like he does everything fundamental. Like you're laughing, but I actually think that's a very good skill to have because it's not a skill most people on the Bucks have.
Yes, most people on the version of the Bucks, probably on the Bucks in general have. But it's like it's not enough to play when they're healthy, and there's just like
here's my thing. Like it could be like we don't know how this fits together when the big 3 is playing. We don't know that yet. We don't know how any of this rotation is going to look.
I think we can extrapolate.
Yeah, and I think we've seen the ability for George Hill. Like the San Antonio game was bad, right?
Yeah.
But that's because he had the ball in his hands a lot and was actually asked to do things.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think it seems like he likes that though. He's pretty aggressive with it. It's just nothing good happens.
Early in the season, when we had Giannis, Jrue, and Jevon, obviously we've had Jevon all the games, but we had those 3 together. Like we saw George Hill sort of take a backseat. Like he was doing what we wanted him to do. I just think if he's overtaxed, it's going to look really bad. But if he's in his role, I think it'll look fine. He's
had a couple good games this year.
Yeah, like it hasn't been absurdly bad.
His best was actually the OKC game: 12 points, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 rebounds.
And that's when he was playing off Jevon.
Yeah. Which he was, again, kind of in the Spurs game, but Jevon just couldn't do as much. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll be okay. We just have to wait and see.
I don't think he's going to be a player who makes their playoff rotation if they're mostly healthy.
I mean, that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Which we'll see about Wes.
We'll see indeed. I think he's going to have the inside track for it, but
yeah, I think
deservedly so.
It would have to be one of 2 players really being better than we think down the stretch, Marjan or Ingles.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to.
Him and Grace. The wing rotation is fascinating, honestly. Okay, we're at an hour 10. We talked about trading for LeBron for 10 minutes. I think we'll have plenty of time to cover more of these wing guys, but I feel like for now it's a pretty good look at the Milwaukee Bucks.
For sure.
I think we're on board with starter Jevon.
Yeah, we are. And how can you not be? He's been killing it. He's been tearing it up. And he knows when he woke up like this.
I used to pray for times like this.
Oh, man, I don't want to support. I'll tell you what, though. Philly has some of the coldest intros you'll ever see.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you get Meek Mill like performing Dreams and Nightmares, like you can do that every single game, and I will never not be entertained.
I know.
I just hate that it's Philly.
Philly is like the embodiment city version of like a player you hate when he's not on your team. If I was born in Philly, I feel like I'd be all in on Philly, dude. All the things I make fun of Philly for now, I'd be like, hell yeah, we threw batteries at Santa. He didn't bring it. Like, I'd be all in.
We have to grease the light poles so people don't climb them.
It's kind of lit in like a groundy way, but like you're like, oh man, it'd be kind of cool to be involved.
I respect it. I respect it.
I do. As much as I hate the Sixers, but I'm like, oh man, now I don't respect their team at all because of Harden and Embiid. But
I mean, they've been 2-2 since Harden's been out 2-0 in the games Embiid has played in those.
Yeah. I don't respect them. I don't fear them.
No, for sure.
I'm serious, but
yeah, Philly fans seeing Steve Nash get fired, and it's like, God, it's like, Lord, I've seen what you've done for others. But yeah, that's a good place. We should wrap this up. Say thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on the Gyro Step Podcast Network. If you did enjoy the show, you know what you should do, Ty? You should tell your family and friends about the show. Spread the word. Like, if you listen to this and you enjoyed it, go tell 2 people about it. It really would appreciate it.
And then if they enjoy it, you have to tell them to tell 2 more people. That's how we really get this thing popping.
Exactly. Like, just spread the word. We really do appreciate that. And we appreciate all of you for listening. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you're listening to this, watching this. If you're on YouTube, check out all things GSPN at gspn.info. Cruising for a Bruise and Talk the Tundra. Make time for this. It's popping at GSPN. Make sure you leave a 5-star rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. Pod Random. And we will talk to you next time.